Gentle breezes, pristine beaches, sunny days, shave ice, and this. What do those all have in common? That's Hawaii. So Kathy and I recently came back from a cruise on NCL's Pride of America around the Hawaiian Islands, and one thing we saw a lot, especially in Maui, was banana bread. So I made some banana bread just in honor of our cruises to Hawaii. So let's go back and see how I did it. So today we're going to make banana bread, and once again I'm Pat from Calm Sea Cooks. So let's take a look at our ingredients that we're going to need. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that this is going to be banana bread, I don't think. So let's take a look. Let's look at our dry team. Now dry team, we have about 2 cups of all-purpose flour that I have ready to be sifted. We're going to add to that 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now I'm going to take a minute to talk about these 2 leavening agents and how they work together. Baking soda is sodium bicarbonate. It is an ingredient that is for leavening, but needs an acid to start to work. So if you look at doing baking soda and vinegar, if you ever done that as a little kid and you watch the little volcano go, that's when you add an acid to baking soda. Baking powder is a combination of baking soda, an acidic ingredient, and some cornstarch for stabilization. So this has the acid built into it. So a lot of times you'll have the combination of baking powder and baking soda. So the baking powder helps the baking soda work to add more leavening. Now, my experience with banana bread is it tends to be a little more dense. So along with our dry ingredients, this actually is a wet ingredient, but I'm going to introduce it now. This is 1/8 of a cup or 1 ounce, 30 milliliters of just plain Greek yogurt. The yogurt will add a little bit of creaminess, but the most important thing is that the acid in the yogurt will really help the leavening. So this should be a much more lifted, so less muffin, more cake bread type banana bread. That's what I'm going to go after today. So dry ingredients: flour, baking soda, baking powder, baking soda, and of course we need to add some flavor, so we're going to add a teaspoon of salt as well. Wet ingredients are 1 cup of just plain sugar, 1 stick of butter. These will do the typical sort of cookie method on how we make that. So those will be integrated together. We'll add 2 eggs once that happens. And then the banana part of it is we have 3 very ripe bananas. So this is the best kind of banana to use for banana bread because it's so ripe, it'll integrate really well. We're going to blend these bananas up because I do not want chunks of banana in banana bread because they will sink and cause areas of the banana bread that will be undercooked, and we don't want that. So we're going to blend these up using our little mini Cuisinart thing. We're going to add some liquid to it. Now this is about a tablespoon of almond milk. It could just be regular milk. All it is adding liquid to the banana so they mix better. So it's really not that important what liquid that is, but milk is the normal thing. And we're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon, or a little less than a teaspoon because I'm not real heavy with cinnamon on these. And that'll be our banana bread. Hardware, we'll use a typical loaf pan for this, and of course we're going to use our mixer to get everything together. All right, let's get started. So let me move a couple things aside for now, and we'll deal with our dry ingredients first because those are easy to set up. All right, I'm gonna grab my little measuring devices for the small quantities. So into our 2 cups of plain flour, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and at this point, I'm going to hold off on the salt because this is kosher salt. It's a little bit big to go through my little sifter thing that I have here. So let's go ahead and sift this. I'm going to use my favorite multitasker in the kitchen, which is just a paper plate. And we'll sift this carefully onto the paper plate, trying not to spill too much. And sifting it helps to add a little bit of air in there. Plus, if you have any things that don't want to go through there, just get rid of them. Then we'll add 1 teaspoon of our salt. And I'm just using kosher salt because it's non-iodized, it doesn't have weird ingredients in it, and it's what I have. All right, so that's our dry team. That's all in there. Put that over here for now. And we'll set that aside when we deal with now our wet ingredients. So let me get the mixer ready and we'll get going. I have our handy Cuisinart mixer here. Let me grab the paddle. We'll be using the paddle attachment for this. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to cream together, as it's called, our butter and our sugar. Now the butter I have here is just 1 stick of butter, 4 ounces of butter, and it's room temperature. It's really, I'm not going to say it's a deal breaker if it's not room temperature, but you really should have room temperature butter because it will integrate so much better with the cup of sugar that we just added. And the sugar, you need the sugar to punch holes into the fat and get it all integrated. You'll see a change of color with this. Doing this backwards is kind of hard to do. All right, so let's go ahead and get this going, starting slowly. And then just ramping it up. You don't want to have it go so fast that it throws it out of the mixer, but you can speed it up a little bit. While that's going, we're going to get our eggs ready, and it's just going to be two regular eggs. They'll be added 1 at a time, so I'm just going to get 1 ready. While that's going, let's grab our little mini Cuisinart. And we'll load this up. Try to get it in a spot where you can see. We'll load this up with our bananas. It's a little hard to see this maybe because of all the angles, but all I'm doing is breaking the bananas in 2 and putting them in this little mini Cuisinart. I like using this. You can use like a masher to do this. But I just don't think it breaks them up enough. I just really don't want to have anything floating in there. All right, bananas. All right. So that is change color. I'm just gonna let it sit for a second so we can focus on this. Let me move this out of the way. Oh, sorry about that noise. All right. So hopefully you can see this. So here's our bananas in here. We're gonna add our liquid. And I'm gonna go ahead and add the cinnamon. I'm just gonna add a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I think that's just enough. You know, I'm not a huge fan of all that cinnamon in there, but we'll go with that much. All right, put our lid on here. Now, I have had experience with this, that this may spit out at me. So I'm gonna go very slowly. First I have to plug it in. Oh, which might be a little problem. There we go. So hopefully this camera over here can pick this up because I'm really running out of room. So I'm gonna gently do this at first. All right, so this is gonna be ready to go. I really liquefied this because the bananas are flavors, the flavoring agent. They are not textural agents, so we don't wanna have anything weird happen with that. Plug our stuff back in. All right, so let me turn this back on. And we'll get back to our regular scheduled program here. I'm gonna add an egg, one at a time. And just like making cookies, you wanna make sure that the egg gets fully incorporated in there. While that's going, I'm gonna go ahead and get our other egg. All right. Before I go to the next one, I'm gonna just scrape down. Make sure we get everything incorporated in there. Oops, throwing things around. All right, then we can go ahead and add our other egg. Again, taking the time to make sure everything incorporates. And I don't know how much you can see of this, but it's a nice, really yellow color. Those are good eggs that I had. All right, so slow it down a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and integrate our banana mixture into there. Just pouring it in, making sure my little top doesn't come off. Okay. Now, if you've ever made banana bread, at this point, it starts to look really gnarly because it's like it curdles, but it's not really curdled. It's just that banana mixture is a little bit weird once it goes in there. So now we're going to go ahead and add our ingredient here of our yogurt. So that was, again, 1 ounce, 30 mils, 1/8 of a cup of the yogurt. This will add acid and a little bit of body, not a whole lot, to our banana bread. Okay, time to put our dry ingredients in. Again, this is just like making cookies. You're gonna slow this down so you don't make a mess, and sift this in a little at a time. This is where your paper plate, I mean, it's just so handy because you can just bend it like this to get everything in there. And then you just throw it away when you're done. Okay, let's get this mixed up. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape down a little bit. Just make sure all the flour is incorporated on the sides here. You want to try to get it off the top of the blade if you have that happen, which will. You want to try to get all of it in there. It's not, I mean, again, it's not going to ruin your recipe if you don't, but get it in there. All right, we'll crank this up a little bit. You need to get the flour integrated in there, but you don't want to go so far that you start getting gluten. You're going to have, you'll have a tough mixture. While this is going, I'm going to go ahead and turn on our small oven we have here to 325 and have that be on bake. So no convection, just 325. Let me do that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stop mixing. Everything looks really good. Again, you can smell the banana in there. Okay. We'll use our scraper to get all the goodness off of here. Now, like I said, I have the oven just on no fan, just regular bake, set at 325. Again, not a super high temperature. This has to take its time to leaven, or to bake, I should say. I'm just scraping everything down in preparation of loading this into our pan. All right, get this out of the way. So we're going to use just a standard smallish loaf pan. I do want to lube that up. So I'm going to use, you could use butter and flour, you could use parchment paper actually if you wanted to. I'm just going to use the regular spray and give that a little once around. And we'll start to load this into our pan. Now, this is pretty thick. All right, so make sure you get it in the pan. You have to kind of help this out. It's not going to really flow easily, but that's a good thing. Oops. Try not to get it on the sides too much. And go in there and get it all out. All right, that's our oven up to temp. Okay, one thing I like to do, aside from cleaning up my little mess here, you want to clean those off because they'll burn, and it's sometimes the burn can, oops, I got a dirty shirt, can cause this, you know, it'll have smoke in your oven and it's just not good. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing a lot of the mixture to the ends. Because what will happen with this is it's going to really poof up in the middle. So if you just kind of, you might not have a lot of success doing this, but at least make the effort to kind of shove things over. To the end. Okay, so that's good. Hands a little rinse. And as you can see, I make a mess when I cook. Oh well, that's life. All right, let's put this in the oven. 325 for 1 hour and about 5 minutes. You're gonna wanna check for doneness. Don't pull this early. It's gonna look like it's done, it's not. You need to have this cook all the way so you get everything, you don't have any underdone spots because it's real easy to do with banana bread. So let me get this in the oven. And we will come back and talk to you in about 1 hour and 5 minutes when we take it out of the pan. All right, see you then, bye. Okay, so we've just, it's been 1 hour and 5 minutes. We've pulled our banana bread. Let's check our internal temperature. I'm looking for something like 190, and for this to come out clear, so it doesn't have any goo on it. So yeah, we're good temperature-wise. We are clean, so this is going to be done. Okay, so you want this has to cool for probably at least a half an hour before you deal with it at all. But it doesn't have to stay in here. Sometimes banana bread can be a little tricky to dismount. So I'm gonna get let's use one of these, a knife, and I'm just passing this along the edges of the loaf pan. I'm looking for any spot that's maybe a little sticky. You can tell it's sticky because it will have like climbed up the pan. Okay. Grab this is still hot. So you can kind of tell by, does it want to move? Okay, I can feel it like jumping in there, which means it's pretty loose. So I'm going to tip this upside down onto our rack. That is what you want to have happen. You want it to just fall out in one piece, which is brilliant. So now you can either do this with your hands and flip that back over. It's kind of hot, but I'm tough. It'll be okay. So here's the hardest part. You're going to have to just sit and stare at this for 30 minutes to 1 hour before you deal with it. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to sit there and let it cool. All right, we'll be back in a while and then we'll take a look at this. Okay, I've waited long enough. It's been about half an hour, it's been about 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and cut this open and see how we did. I prefer to use a slicing knife on this. It causes less crumbing. So let's take a look. So our banana bread is very nice and done. I don't see any sinkers, which is good. Let's slice off a little bit more here. Let's take a relatively thin slice because I don't want to be a pig. All right. I'm looking at the crumb. It's typical. The banana bread's not going to be like regular bread. It's going to be more like a muffin. So it's not. It's going to be a little denser no matter what you do. So let's give it a little try. I like that the outside is crunchy. Yeah, really good banana flavor in here. Very solid banana bread. Now some of you are going, you didn't put any pecans or any nuts in there. I just don't like nuts in banana bread. If you really have to have nuts, put some on top.